Story 1. Reconnecting after Prizzoni served time in prison and lost contact with my girlfriend. It's been over 10 years since we last saw each other. Would it be wrong to reach out to her again? I'm 35 now. Back in university, I fell in love. With Sarah, she's 33 today. She was my best friend's younger sister, so she felt off limits, but my feelings for her didn't fade, they only grew stronger. She's one of those beautiful, intelligent people who live and breathe to make the world a better place. How could I not fall in love? One day, she told me she had feelings for me too. To my relief, her brother didn't mind us dating. Sarah and I were together for 2 years. 2 beautiful years. I should have proposed. I don't know why I didn't. Maybe I thought we had all the time in the world. We were young, there was no rush. We lived in a country that, putting it mildly, wasn't very democratic. We were involved in political activism. Eventually, I was arrested and sentenced to 9 years in prison. Please don't think I'm some kind of monster. Because of that, I don't want to go into details that could identify me, but we didn't hurt anyone or do anything immoral. What I was in prison for wouldn't even be considered a crime in the country I live in now. I haven't seen or spoken to Sarah since the day I was arrested. My best friend died not long after, and Sarah left the country partly because she could have been arrested too. Reaching me while I was in prison was impossible, though I believe she contacted my father a few times early on. Things in our home country only got worse during my time inside. So when I was finally released, my father and I emigrated. We've been living in Western Europe ever since, and life is okay. I live with my dad and work a steady, if crappy, job. A few months ago, I found Sarah online. She lives in a neighboring country just a 7-hour train ride away. She's barely active on social media, but it seems she doesn't have a partner or kids. And even if she's married now, I'd be happy just being her friend again, like we were in the beginning. Part of me desperately wants to message her, and my father thinks I should try. But I'm afraid it would be selfish. Losing her brother was a huge trauma for her, and I fear I might just be a living reminder of everything painful from that time. If she has a partner now, would she be upset by my contact? Would I be disrupting her relationship? I don't want to cause her more pain. For me, time froze while I was in prison, but I know that for her and everyone else, life moved on. She made something of herself. She built a new life. I don't want to ruin that just because I feel like I deserve a place in it. Maybe she doesn't even remember me. And even if she does want me back in her life, what am I to her now? A broken man with a wrecked mind? We haven't seen each other for twice as long as we were ever together. Do I even have the right to miss her this much? So far, all I do is Google her name from time to time to make sure she's okay. It hurts terribly and I don't know how to make it stop. I still love her with all my heart and maybe always will. Should I write to her, or is it better to leave her in peace? And if I do write, what on earth should I even say? Update 1. I reached out to her and she replied. First of all, I want to thank everyone who gave me advice or simply wrote kind words. I was ashamed of my situation for so long and expected most people to react very negatively if they found out. I barely talked about it, only with my father and professionals like lawyers, therapists, etc. I was genuinely surprised to receive so much compassion from complete strangers. Thank you. Really, a few people asked me to share how it went, and it's the least I can do. I messaged Sarah the same evening I posted my story. I wrote something like, I don't want to intrude on your life. I just wanted to say hi and leave you my new contact info in case you ever feel like getting in touch. If not, that's totally fine too. I left my number and email, wished her all the best, and that was it. I understood that she might not reply at all, or it could take time, so I tried not to dwell on it. But early the next morning, my phone rang, an unknown number from the country where Sarah now lives. Who else could it be? I panicked a little but answered. She asked several times if it was really me. I couldn't tell if she was laughing or crying. At first, she called me by the sweet nickname she used to use, then quickly apologized and corrected herself. That kind of broke my heart. The call was awkward, but not in a bad way. I was extremely nervous, she seemed to be too, but we were both happy. Someone here said Sarah would want to know if I was okay. That turned out to be even more true than I imagined. In the last year of my sentence, unrest back home intensified, and she feared I'd be quietly removed instead of released. There were documented cases of strange things happening to prisoners in my situation shortly before their release, so her fear wasn't irrational. She told me she had tried multiple times to send care packages and add money to my prison account, but everything was rejected with no explanation. After my sentencing, I wasn't allowed to receive letters or use the commissary due to the nature of my conviction. Eventually, she stopped trying. She explained it all with apologies as if I'd be upset she hadn't done more. I had no idea she'd even tried. And knowing she did, risking her own safety just to make my life slightly easier, it broke me. She didn't want to talk more about the past, so we didn't. We moved on to lighter topics: our jobs, cities, how my dad is adjusting to the new country, etc. When she arrived at work and had to end the call, she asked if I'd like to continue chatting via Messenger. Of course, I said yes and immediately installed the app. We texted all day. On her way home, she stopped to send me a photo of a restaurant decorated like one of my favorite books just because she thought I'd like it. She said every time she sees that building, she thinks of me, though the restaurant itself isn't that great. I had feared she might not even remember me. But she does. She remembers that I love to read. She remembers so many things, even ones I've forgotten. Since then, we've been texting every day and talking on the phone at night after my shift until she starts getting sleepy. Sometimes it feels like I'm 24 again and she's texting from the next street over, like she'll soon ask what's for dinner. Other times, it feels like we're trying to resurrect old versions of ourselves so we don't have to admit that everything has changed. She's much quieter, more reserved than she used to be. I guess that's understandable. Sometimes I'm afraid I've changed too much, that there's nothing left in me for her to love. I can't even describe what I feel when I hear her laugh. She hasn't lost her kindness, her warmth, or her compassion. She still cares, and so do I. I know rebuilding a friendship after all this won't be easy, but I have all the patience in the world. I'm just grateful I get a chance to know her again. This morning, Sarah asked if I'd like to video call this weekend. I said yes. Honestly, I'm a little ashamed to admit how nervous I am, even though I want to see her so badly. I've changed physically too. My jaw's messed up, my teeth are like a hockey player's. Luckily, I'll have insurance soon and can start fixing them. I've lost a lot of weight and haven't gained it back yet. When I look in the mirror, I see an old man. I'm also afraid I won't be able to hold it together when I see her, that I'll break down and embarrass myself. I'm not used to crying in front of people. I don't know how, and this doesn't seem like the right moment to start. I don't want to look pathetic or make her feel like she has to comfort me. If anyone has advice on how to deal with that, I'd appreciate it. But overall, this week couldn't have gone better. I'm beyond grateful to everyone who gave me that push to reach out. Thank you 1,000 times over, and no, she doesn't have a husband or kids. Like I said in the original post, I only messaged her because I didn't see any signs of someone in her life. Update 2. Many of you asked for an update. These last 2 months flew by. I told Sarah I was nervous about the video call, and she insisted we just do it immediately so I could stop overthinking it. She still looks like I remember, maybe even more beautiful. She's changed only in that now she looks like a grown woman. The place she lives now is nothing like our homeland, totally different culture, and she seems to have adjusted naturally. Just the fact that she already feels at home there shattered the illusion that no time had passed. Maybe that's why I was so nervous, because I could no longer pretend nothing had changed. The hardest part was sitting in front of a screen, not being able to hug her, watching the person you love cry from a distance. It took me a moment to realize I was crying too. She didn't seem surprised by how I looked, just examined me carefully and asked, "Why aren't you eating enough?" I explained about my jaw and that I'm getting it treated. It's less work than I thought, but I'll still need surgery. She asked for my address and had a box of soft snacks delivered, easy to chew stuff. She's been sending food every week since, even though I keep telling her she doesn't have to. When I tried to pay her back, she just laughed and said she owed me plenty of meals because back in university, I kept her from starving. I used to love cooking for her. I guess it makes her happy to feed me now. We talk every day and video calls have become a habit. Just seeing her face brings me joy now, and the awkwardness is mostly gone. Talking to her is easy. Last night she set her laptop on the kitchen counter and chatted with me while washing dishes. It's incredible how ordinary things can bring back a sense of normalcy and home. Who would have thought watching someone wash mugs could make me so happy? I'm starting to think the idea of home as a place is an illusion. She likes sending photos to show me where she lives, what her life looks like now. I was ashamed to admit I didn't have much of a life to show back. Going out didn't seem worth it. But for her, yes.at first, it was little things. She sent a picture of a pastry she bought at a CAF and teased that her city has better desserts than mine. So I went out, got a pastry, and sent a photo back. Then it was beer. Then parks, architecture, department stores. I realized quickly that she just wanted to get me out of the house. But I played along because it made her happy. In the last month, I've seen more of my city than in all the time I've lived here. I went to an art museum. I even joined co-workers for a drink for the first time. I still pick quiet places and stay briefly, but I go. That's something. Sarah used to be so social. I thought whatever happened, she'd at least never be lonely. I was wrong. There's a lot she can't talk about with friends because they just wouldn't understand. They'd pity me, she said, and stop seeing me as their equal. Our experiences are different, but we understand each other better than anyone else could. And somehow, despite her own pain, she quietly picked up half of mine too. On March 8th, I sent her orchids, her favorite flowers. She was touched. I remembered. The little things I can do for her feel so small, and she deserves so much more than I can give. But I'd do anything for her, and I'm learning. Where she lives, there are now protests with police and tear gas. When that happens, she gets anxious and can't sleep. Now at least I can stay on the phone with her at night so she's not alone. There's anxiety in it, but nostalgia too. She remembers how we used to march in the streets. I'm glad she has good memories and now she doesn't have to hold them alone. And finally, the reason I'm writing now, Sarah is coming to visit me. Last night we were talking, and I mentioned there's a church near me with stained glass windows by an artist she loves. I thought of visiting someday. She said it wouldn't be fair if I went without her. I offered to go together and suddenly it became a real plan, with a date next Saturday. She was going to visit just for the day, but I said it was silly to travel that far for a few hours and invited her to stay the whole weekend. So she'll be here from Friday to Sunday. I haven't had time to panic yet, but I'm sure I will. Thank you again to everyone who gave advice and support. It means the world to me. Story 2. I fell in love with my married neighbor, but after babysitting his kids, I'm starting to doubt my feelings. I'm 34, and 7 months ago, I went through a difficult breakup with a guy I had been in a long-term relationship with. After that, I moved in with my best friend and her husband. We're renting a house together. That's when I met my neighbor, let's call him Kay. He helped us carry our things in, and I fell for him immediately. We live in the suburbs of a big city, and it just so happens that we both commute to work on the same train every day. I found out right away that Kay has a wife and kids. He talks about them often. He has pictures of them on his phone screen, on social media, and so on. But at first, it was just a silly, innocent crush. He's handsome, cheerful, and kind. The first time we talked on the train, he asked me about my job and genuinely listened to what I was saying. My ex, for example, never did that. It was a constant source of conflict for us. Kay's always doing little things for his kids, bringing them treats, chatting with his daughter on the phone during his commute because she needs reassurance before a school test. It's so easy to imagine how gentle and attentive he'd be in a relationship. He's like that with everyone. Kay has never said or done anything to suggest he has feelings for me. But we've truly become friends. We talk almost every day. On the train for about 20 minutes. I've never had trouble attracting men. And with the connection we already have, I'm sure we could easily become something more. Not long after I started developing feelings for him, I found out that his wife is someone I once went to school with. And I was surprised. They seem like complete opposites. He's fun, she's dry. He's adventurous, she's cautious. He's a bit dim, she's very smart. I know it sounds harsh, but honestly, I just don't think they're a good match, not in personality and not in looks. And it's easy to imagine that Kay is stuck in this relationship just because he's too nice to walk away. Now, to the point, last night, Kay knocked on our door and asked if I could babysit his kids for a bit. Of course, I agreed. I didn't mind at all. He told me his wife had been in a car accident during a business trip, and since she's pregnant, he was very scared and bought the first ticket to go to her. They don't have any relatives in this state. So he asked me to watch the kids for a few hours until an old family friend could arrive. He was driving in from out of town and would stay the night. That's when everything went downhill. The kids were a nightmare. 3 girls. The oldest was a stereotypical brat times 1,000. Rude, didn't take me seriously at all. She argued about everything: dinner, chores, what movies she could watch. I even caught her whispering about me a few times. The middle one was hyperactive and constantly wanted to play loud, messy games. Even when I said no, the youngest was mostly sweet and quiet, but she always joined in whatever chaos the middle one was causing. It all ended with me agreeing to play hide and seek with the two younger ones, but they ended up locking me out of the house. I walked around, trying to convince the oldest to let me in through the back door. She just pretended not to hear and put on headphones. Luckily, the family friend arrived just a few minutes later, opened the door, and I went home. I felt sad because I had often fantasized about one day becoming a stepmom to Kay's kids. He always spoke so warmly about them, but now I want nothing to do with them. At the same time, it almost felt like proof that things aren't great between him and his wife. Kids from a happy, healthy family don't act like that. I just want to be with Kay, but now I'm not sure it's even possible, considering I have zero connection with his kids. And that's before any possible divorce. His wife could easily turn them against me. I really love Kay and still believe we could have an amazing story if I went for it. But right now, everything inside me feels shaky. I wish there was someone I could talk to about this, but everyone in my life would judge me. Comments: honestly, it doesn't sound like you love him. You're idealizing him and building a fantasy life in your head. You're imagining that he'll leave his wife and run off with you. You justify it by saying his kids are poorly behaved, so that must mean things are bad at home. Meanwhile, you completely ignore the fact that his wife is pregnant and he dropped everything to be by her side in a crisis. You complain the kids don't respect you, but they barely know you. You're not their mum and never will be. You think if you win Kay, you'll have this beautiful love story? You won't. He has a family that he clearly loves. Just because he's kind and polite to you doesn't mean he's in love with you. Please talk to a therapist. This isn't healthy. Response from the author: how do you know whether I love him or not? Are you in my head? People can fall in love even before a relationship begins. Yes, I don't know if he loves me, but you don't know that he doesn't either. We'll only know once we cross that bridge. I'm not expecting him to just drop everything and run away with me. It could take months, maybe even years, with divorce, custody, all of it. And yes, before you flood the comments, I know there's no guarantee he'll ever leave his wife, but Kay is a good person, an honest person. If something were to happen between us, he would leave his marriage because that would be the right thing to do. He's said before that fairness is the most important thing to him. That's why I'm asking. I know this could get very messy. I just want to understand if the fact that his kids are so difficult would make things even worse. I want to know whether the potential upsides outweigh the downsides. That's all for now. Thank you for listening to this story till the end. Don't forget to follow our channel and take care.